Unveil the unnamed bottom 10 of the tiers, please. All right. I will admit, there was a bit of a committee fight. I campaigned to get my beloved Jacksonville Jaguars higher. Now that they have Doug Peterson, they have a real coach. The committee said, Nick, you embarrassed us with the Jags last year. We're not putting them higher. Those teams are unnamed tiers. Now to the named tiers. Top 22 teams going into the season. I guess.
Come on.
It's like when you can't, it's like, I guess. Like, hey, what do you want to do for dinner? Applebee's? I guess. Fine. Fajitas there, fine. Like, it's nothing interesting. They're not terrible, but nothing interesting about any of these football teams. Next group, change coming. Don't know what the change gonna be, but we know the quarterback position is in flux. The Bucs quarterback retired. The Seahawks quarterback is hanging out with Roger Goodell for the second straight Super Bowl instead of playing in them. He wants out. Packers quarterback won't tell us anything. The Browns quarterback's like, hey, I'm not going anywhere. And they're like, you might be. You actually might be, Baker. Just don't necessarily extend the lease. Let's just wait and see what happens this offseason. All right, coaching question. I like all these teams except for their coaches, with an exception. So obviously Zach Taylor's a problem. Obviously Mike McCarthy's a problem. Obviously Cliff Kingsbury's a problem. I like Brandon Staley. I am concerned, however, that the ilk that Chris Broussard hangs out with is going to put so much pressure on Brandon Staley to be like all these other boring doofus coaches, it's going to steal some of his magic. So I don't question you, Brandon Staley, but the rest of the media cavemen will. And if you don't hold the line, could be in trouble. Coaching question. Now quarterback question. I like all these teams, but we have quarterback questions. Are the Titans really going to bring back Ryan Tannehill? Are the Colts really going to bring back Carson Wentz? Are the Steelers really going to go into the season with Mason Rudolph? And for the Ravens, is Lamar going to be healthy? And is Lamar going to be a different player than he was showing to be this year before the injury, where he had seemingly regressed? All of these teams, their rosters and their coaches, I really, really like, but they do have legitimate quarterback questions. Truly terrifying tier. The two best teams in the NFC over the last 4 years. They've been to 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls. They've been to multiple conference championship games between them. The Rams are truly terrifying. Well, they just won the Super Bowl, and I know they're going to lose guys, but they losing Aaron Donald? Don't think so. I know they're talking about retirement. He's not retiring. They losing Cooper Kupp? No. Are they losing Matt Stafford? No. Are they losing Von Miller? Maybe. Bring him back. Are they losing Jalen Ramsey? No. And for the Niners, they almost made the Super Bowl with below average quarterback play. They are either going to have a great quarterback next year if they do what Wild is begging them to do and pull Tom Brady out of retirement, or they're going to have Trey Lance, who I believe will be better than Garoppolo. I think the Niners probably should be the NFC favorites next year, right alongside the Rams. And now the top 2 teams. Number 1 contender, the Buffalo Bills. Now, I do have some concern for Buffalo. The loss of Brian Daboll matters. I also think if you're the Bills, we talked about the long tail of that loss to the Chiefs. I think if you're the Bills and you watched that Super Bowl, you were like, you got to be kidding me. We'd have washed both of these teams if we had the chance. I think that stings. However, they're going to be able to bring back most of their roster. They had an underrated defense last year, slightly overrated as far as it wasn't actually the best defense in football, but underrated as far as people didn't talk about them as much as good as they actually were. The defense won't be the number 1 defense in football, but it'll be good. And I told you that we're retiring the Josh Allen slander. Now, is that going to be a Tom Brady style retirement where it might come back at any moment? It could. But for the time being, Josh Allen slander has been retired. And then, of course, the favorites. Bro, we know who the favorites are. Oh, Nick, you're such a homer. Oh, Nick. Look at literally every sports book in America and call them up and say, hi, Mrs. Sportsbook, who's your favorites for the NFL? And they're going to say the Chiefs. They're going to be like, oh, are you from Kansas City? Are you obnoxious on television? And they're going to be like, no, I just answer the phones here. They're the favorites. They have the best player. They're not losing their offensive coordinator. The only guy on the roster who I'm concerned, big contributor, might not be back is Tyrann Mathieu. But even if you lose Mathieu, you're probably also losing Daniel Sorensen, so that might be a wash. Like, you lose one great player, you lose the worst player in the league. So now it's about a push even at the safety position. They're obviously the favorites. Those are our tiers. Way too early. They can be changed with trades, drafts, free agency, but that's where we're at, Brew.
Nick, I hate to do it because I was hard on the tiers all year. And I'm going to be hard on them today because they're come on, man. Look, can we move Green Bay up? All right, I get it. There's a slight possibility Rodgers won't be back, but did you hear him when he got his MVP award? He sang the praises of Matt LaFleur and how much he loves them. He shouted out the front office. I think he's back, and I think that means Green Bay will be truly terrifying. Secondly, coaching question, really? That list, Zach Taylor, in his third year, led the Bengals to the Super Bowl, but you don't like him, but you like the guy that goes for it on fourth down from his own 18. That guy. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe Brandon Staley would be great in Madden. You guys can play that. But in coaching NFL games, he is the one I got questions about, not about Zach Taylor. Can we stop that? All right. Now, I'm not going to kill. Yeah, you know I like the Chiefs and Mahomes too. But objectively, I would put Buffalo as the favorite because they got the better defense. They had Kansas City beat the last time we saw them on the field together. And as much as I love Mahomes and he is the Jordan-esque quarterback of this era, Josh Allen did outplay him in that game until the last 13 seconds. And Josh Allen was better overall in the playoffs than even Mahomes, who had a good playoff run until the end. So I would put Buffalo as the favorite, not Kansas City. But what I want to focus on quickly, the 49ers. Now, I'm sorry, Nick, they should be in the QB question group because we don't know much about Trey Lance, and what we do know isn't all that glorifying. It isn't all that great, okay? What we know is that in 2 starts, he had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. What we know is that he completed fewer than 58% of his passes. What we know is that he started about 3 games in the last, 2-3 seasons, one of them at the Division I AA level. Okay? So we don't know if this dude can play or not. We also know, Nick, he is replacing a guy who is one of the 8 winningest quarterbacks of all time. Can we see it? There it is. I'm just saying, you want to dismiss Jimmy G and his impact on the Niners, but I'll remind you because you just don't get it. 35-16 with Jimmy G, a Super Bowl appearance. How many conference championships? Is it 1 or 2 conference championship games? And they were 8-28 without him. I am not so certain that they are not going to miss Jimmy G. He might not be good enough to win a Super Bowl, but he's good enough to get there. So I just think you're underestimating the loss of Jimmy G and overestimating what Trey Lance will do. Maybe he'll be great, but we have no idea. It should be QB question for the Niners.
No, because they answered it by almost getting to the Super Bowl this year with a mediocre quarterback. So no, they don't. Unlike the other teams, they don't have to have a great quarterback. To just quickly answer all of Broussard's questions, he asked me, did I hear what Aaron Rodgers say at the NFL Honors? I actually didn't. I mean, you guys know this. When you wear corduroy, it makes that weird rubbing sound. So there was a lot of refraction in the microphone. I couldn't hear it, but he looked great. For someone if he was playing a character. But I can't believe you're advocating for the Packers when your argument all year, and you were proven right, is you can't trust Rodgers in a big game. That's first point. Second point is, where were all the critics when Sean McVay went for a 4th and 1 inside his own 30 to win the Super Bowl? Oh yeah, that's right. You guys are only Monday morning quarterbacking the failures. You're never criticizing the 4th and 1 decision. There's 5 minutes left. You had all your timeouts. The Bengals hadn't moved the ball at all.
18.
McVay went for it. Nobody says a word because it was successful. It's almost like you guys are playing the result. And as far as Wilds, Broussard's just love of The Bills outplayed the Chiefs until they didn't. Allen outplayed Mahomes until he didn't. Yeah, in 98, Game 6, if you remove the last 45 seconds, Malone outplayed Jordan. And then Jordan stole the ball from him, got a layup, and got to hit the shot. So you remove all that. You can't do that. You can't do if you remove the part where the best player in the world showed you why he's the best player in the world, then he wasn't the best. So I take all of Broussard's criticisms and throw them in the trash.
Yeah.
They're all nonsense.
Wow.
Wilds be better.
Wow. Okay, here we go. So I will start with a positive note. On the bottom left here, I guess, with my beloved New England Patriots. Now, granted, Baby Goat did make the Pro Bowl, but Nick has a point. Who's our defensive coordinator that didn't get force the Buffalo Bills into a punt on either game? Nobody. We're all defensive coordinators. Okay. How about offensive coordinator? Josh McDaniels headed to the Raiders. Who's the new offensive coordinator? Nobody. By committee. Okay. If you think that's the plan, I guess so. In 2010, Patriots went coordinator-less, and we went 14-2. I get it. You can be successful. Captain Sully did land a plane into the Hudson River, but to do it again, I'd be like, yo, Captain Sully, what's going on here? We're going to try to land again in the Hudson River? Let's just do traditional landings, please. Let's hire some coordinators. Moving on to the Broncos, though. That's what I would like to actually talk about before I go coordinator crazy. Broncos. The Broncos are a quarterback away, and everybody knows it. The blueprint for a Super Bowl is right in front of the Broncos. Here's why. Jameis Bucks, a quarterback away. Number 1 rushing defense, but he threw 30 interceptions. Switch out Jameis, bring in Brady, win the Super Bowl. How about another team that was a quarterback away? Goff Rams, number 1 scoring and total defense in 2020. But Goff had the second most giveaways in the NFL over the last 2 years with the Rams. Switch out Goff, bring in Stafford, win the Super Bowl. And which team is like that now? Well, it's the Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock Broncos. They are the only team, the Broncos are the only team in the last 2 years to score less than 20 points and give up less than 20 points. You are a quarterback away. So maybe this is Kyler. Maybe this is Russ. Maybe this is Aaron Rodgers. But I think the potential of the Broncos to be the new Bucs and the new Rams, just on potential alone, should move them up there to maybe QB question. I think that's a nice spot for them.
Yeah, I think that's way overrating the Broncos. I don't think the defense is going to be as good without Fangio. They hired Nathaniel Hackett as their head coach. I watched his dad, Paul Hackett, try to ruin my Kansas City Chiefs in the mid-'90s. Then I watched Nathaniel Hackett try to ruin my Syracuse University. I have real issues with the Hackett family as a whole, but we don't need to get into that. So I don't love the hire. I don't know the defense is going to be as good, and I don't think they're going to get one of the quarterbacks. So somehow you were worse than Broussard.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.